Van Deeb, a dynamic leader with decades of experience building companies and crushing sales. He's been there and done that.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Van Deeb.
Inspiring audiences across the country to do it too. Here's Van.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad you're with me today on the Van Deeb podcast. So before we do anything, please subscribe to this podcast. I want you to have these podcasts in your inbox twice a month so you get motivated, inspired, and empowered to be the best version of yourself, because that's what my podcasts are all about. I want to see you live your best life. Turn off my phone, and I'm normal and human just like you, so my phone, I just shut it off. You can keep yours on, though, if you want to. So, today I want to talk to you about, as you know, as most of you know that have been listening to my podcast the last 6 years, now we're doing video podcasts, so I'm pretty excited. Only difference is I got to look halfway decent instead of coming in the studio with a T-shirt on. But we're going to talk about topics. I want to continue to talk about things that are relevant to you, that benefit you. So my podcasts are for people that want to push the needle forward, people that want more out of life, that don't want to be average. And you know what I always say, in order to live an above average life, you got to be an above average person. And that's where I'm going to come in, and I'm going to be your coach that you're really not paying for, because you're getting this twice a month. So that's a pretty good deal. But I do ask you to please share these podcasts, subscribe, share these with people that could use a boost, people that need a little bit of encouragement and inspiration to be the best they can be. So as you know, I've written several books: Common Sense Selling, Selling from the Heart, The Power of Asking. I've written some real estate books because that's my background. And my background is helping people with the biggest investments of their lives. 42 years I've been doing this. So my background can relate to all of you. Whatever business you're in, my background and my experiences will relate to you. I concentrate on sales, leadership, services, just being the best worker, the best business person you can possibly be. Or maybe that's in your goals someday, is to be an awesome business person. I love entrepreneurs. So a lot of entrepreneurs have me come speak or tune into my podcast. So today, I want to tell you some of my experiences that prompted me to write the book, The Power of Asking. I wrote this book because I realized how important it is for us to ask for what we want in life. Not enough people do that. We want great things to happen in our life, but we're not willing to go ask for it. So a lot of my early years in business, I learned that asking is one thing that we all have to do in order to get to where we want to go. And it costs us absolutely nothing. However, if you're going to ask people for help, ask people to help elevate you, you got to be that person that's deserving. So we're going to talk about that throughout my podcast. Today, I want to spend time with one specific experience that I know you'll be able to either relate to today or someday in the future, or maybe somebody could use to hear this. So a lot of you know my background. I'm not going to go through it every time I get on the air, but I am going to give you a little bit of a brief. So I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, went to college in Nebraska, played football, and decided I wanted to get away and see what it's like to go to another city. So I packed up everything I owned in a little piece of junk car, and I got all the money I could scrape together, which was $500. I left Omaha, drove straight to Dallas, Texas, 12-hour drive in a car that really was not in good mechanical shape, broke down before I even got to Dallas, and that's a whole nother story. However, I had no job. I just went there with the hope and the vision of finding a job and eventually go to real estate school. I wanted to become a real estate professional at age 23, which was 42 years ago. So I get there, and there's all these big, gigantic home builders in Dallas, Texas. The big national brands are all in Dallas, Texas, because at that time, Dallas, Texas was the number one fastest growing city in America. So I was like, man, I want to check out selling real estate here, learn the ropes, then move back to Nebraska at some point and set the world on fire with all the people that I know and I grew up with. So the best way to start in real estate in a strange city that you know no one, in my opinion, was to go work for a home builder. So I did some research. Now, back in 1983, there was no internet. There was no laptops. There was no cell phones. I mean, I don't even think we had fax machines. So I had to do a lot of research by making phone calls and a lot of legwork. Well, I knew there was this company called Pulte Homes, P-U-L-T-E, Pulte Homes. They're one of the largest home builders in the United States, and they had over 250 real estate agents working for them selling their new homes and their new construction. So I had heard through the grapevine that, man, this is the place to go to work if you want to get your real estate career started. So I called them up and I said, I'd like to apply for a job. Can I make an appointment? I had heard that there were 4 area sales managers. So I wanted to meet with one of them. And I asked the lady on the phone, I said, can I make an appointment to meet with one of the 4 managers? She said to me, we are not hiring. However, you can send us a resume. So I said, okay. So I've never put together a resume in my entire life. I had no clue. And I come from a family of teachers and preachers, and I still didn't have a clue about putting a resume together. So I tried to figure it out, didn't ask for any help, went to a library, which was the first times I've been to one. And if you saw my GPA from college, you'll know that I did not go to the library very often. Not good. Anyway, so I get this resume that I put together. I go to a consignment store and bought a $50 used suit because I wanted to look good, suit and tie. I said, I'm not sending my resume. I'm going to go drop it off, and I want to speak to somebody. So I go into Pulte Homes headquarters, Dallas-Fort Worth headquarters, and I walk in and I said, hi, I said, I'm here to apply for a job and I'd like to meet with one of the 4 area sales managers. The receptionist immediately said, I'll take your resume, but we're not hiring, so you won't be able to meet with anybody. And I looked right at her and I had a big smile on my face and I said, all I want to do is just say hello. I don't need an appointment. I just like to shake somebody's hand since I'm here anyway. And that's it. So she kind of looked at me and she said, all right, go ahead and have a seat in the lobby. And if somebody's available, I can't guarantee they will be. I sat out there for 3 hours. Thank God they had a TV because, man, I'm just sitting out there hoping somebody comes out. So all of a sudden, here comes this tall, beautiful, intimidating woman. She comes out to the lobby, kind of peeks around the corner and goes, are you Van Deeb? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she goes like this, kind of like, follow me. Well, I haven't seen something like this since I was in high school, and the principal would always say, come to my office. Yeah, I was pretty non-conforming and rebellious back in the day. Actually, I still am. I just don't act it out. So anyway, she takes me back to her office, and I'm nervous. I mean, this is my really first job interview I've ever had because I came straight out of school. I waited tables and stuff like that, but nothing like this. So she's reading my resume, and she started chuckling. Now, I'm like, uh-oh. I don't think it's normal for somebody to laugh when they're reading your resume. I'm like, what did I do? Did I put something on there stupid? Apparently it was funny or she wouldn't be laughing. So she's reading my resume and she's laughing for a second. She puts it down and she goes, Van, the only sales experience you have here, as it says on your resume, is you were the king of the carnival at Mount View Elementary School in Omaha, Nebraska in 2nd grade. And I said, yes, ma'am. I said, I was the king of the carnival. You can't be the king of the carnival unless you sell the most carnival tickets. And I sold the most carnival tickets. So I was king of the carnival. And she kind of like, okay. So she just, I didn't know where this was going. And apparently that was not a good thing to put down for sales experience, but that's all I could think of when I'm writing my own resume. So she's reading through it. I'll never forget, she put it down and she looked at me. And I felt like I was looking up at this icon because she was very intimidating. And she looked at me and she goes, what makes you think you can be good at selling real estate? And I don't know if the good Lord came over me or whatever it was, but what came out of my mouth next was one of the first times I've ever been that bold. And I looked right at her. Her name was Emma King, wonderful lady. And I looked right at her and I said, if I'm not your number one salesman in 3 months, I'll quit. And she literally sat back in her chair, went like this, and just kind of digested what I just said. And she said, you're that confident? I said, yes, ma'am. I'm just asking for a chance. I just want you to give me an opportunity and let me show you what I can do. I said, nobody has a work ethic like I do. Now, isn't that what people want to hear? They want to know that you're a worker, that you are ready for the challenge. So anyway, moving forward, she says to me, what are you doing this weekend? And I'm like, whatever you tell me to do. And I was waiting tables at the time, so I could change some shifts around if I needed to. She goes, I want you to go out to Garland, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, and I want you to sit with Jane and Bernard at one of our models. You're going to stand at the front door, and when people come into the model homes, you're going to pass them off and take turns. Hi, welcome to Pulte Homes. This is Bernard. Hi, welcome to Pulte Homes. This is Jane. And then after the weekend's over, I'll call Jane and Bernard, and I'll ask them what they thought of you, and then we'll go from there. And I said, great. Well, I go out there. Bernard and I became bros within like 3 minutes. And Jane and I became like family within 5 minutes. So couldn't have gone better. They gave Emma King a great report on me. She called me in the office that week, found a spot for me, hired me, and now I'm on the sales team at Pulte Homes. So why am I telling you this? I asked. So I put together a book of all these other instances that I asked and received what I asked for. My whole point in bringing this experience up, which I'm going to be bringing experiences up throughout my podcast, like I have been the last 6 years, only now you're going to be seeing me on video. I want you to know that I'm not anybody special. God didn't say, you're not special, you're not special, you're not special. Oh, Van, you're special. No, I'm just a regular human, but I made a decision. Remember, I talk about the 5 Ds in my podcast: drive, desire, determination, discipline, and decision. If you master those 5 Ds in whatever you're doing, you're going to be great at it. Not good, but you're going to be great if you master those 5 Ds. I made a decision. I want this job. I want to work for Pulte Homes. I didn't say, okay, I'll mail in my resume. When I got to the front desk, I didn't say, okay, you're not seeing anybody. I'll wait for a call. No, I want the job. There are so many people running around out there in this world that want things, but they don't go after it. I call that big hat, no cattle. You talk a big game, but you're not willing to go out and do the work. Go get it. So now, remember that big promise, that bold statement I made? If I'm not your number one salesman in 3 months, I'll quit. Well, thank God I wasn't their number one salesman in 3 months. And I didn't quit, but I was on my way. The second year I was with Pulte Homes, out of 250 salespeople, I was number one. And you know why? Because I made a decision. I was not a naturally born real estate person. I created it. I reinvented myself. If I was supposed to be at work at 10 o'clock until 6, I got there at 9 and I stayed till 7. If my days were off were on Mondays and Tuesdays, I didn't take them off until they actually made me at some point. I know we all have families, we have kids, we have life things that you can't do that. But my point is, I gave it every ounce of energy and effort I had to accomplish my goal. What did I do? I made a decision. I wanted that job. I asked for it. I got it. That's the same thing in every aspect of life. How bad do you want something? Don't just talk about it. We make decisions every morning when we wake up out of bed, and you may not even realize it. When you wake up in the morning, you make a decision, and you don't even know you did. Because you're saying to yourself, I'm going to go to work today, I'm going to get through the motions, and I'm going to come home. Or you're going to say, I'm going to go to work today, I'm going to set the world on fire, I'm going to be something special, I'm going to encourage and inspire and empower everybody that sees me, and I'm going to be the best version of myself, and that's the decision I'm going to make today. Now, I alter my decisions every morning. First thing I do is I thank the good Lord that I woke up. That's a thing, believe me. And then I look in the mirror. As you know, a lot of you that listen to my podcast over the years, I'm real big on affirmations and talking to myself. I got to get used to this, being on video. But I've changed some things up. So the last several years I get up, I look in the mirror, and I say to myself, today I'm going to inspire somebody to be the best they can be. Now, when we concentrate on making other people happy, it's going to come back to us tenfold. So I'm using that as an example of a decision I made. I made a decision. When you do this, whatever you're going for in life, it will come true. We get rewarded by our efforts. If you master the 4-letter word, W-O-R-K, good things will happen to you. I know that some of you today that are listening, there's things you want. And that's okay. We should all want things. It makes our life better. It keeps our life doing this. We don't want our life to do this. We want our life to gradually keep getting better and better and better. Why? Because it makes life more fun. I know people that are just stagnant and they're not happy. Now that's up to them. But we have the ability to make ourselves happy. And usually it's personal growth. Find something about yourself that you want to change. Find something in your life that you want badly and go get it. If you're one of those that say, oh man, I wish I had that, you're 20% of the way there. You know why? Because you've identified something you want. Now you got to go get it. Now you got to manifest it. Now you got to have it in your head. You got to eat, sleep, and drink it. You got to write it down. You got to stare at it every day. We have the ability to accomplish anything we want to if we want it bad enough. And a lot of people say, oh man, that's only for people that are great. That's only for people that have greatness inside of them. No, 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 it's not. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody. Nobody's exempt. We all start somewhere. I don't care if you're 18, 28, 38, 68. It's never too late. There's still things I want to do, and I'm working on getting them done. I'm not stopping until I slide into heaven exhausted. I'm not stopping. And it's fun. It keeps our life exciting. So today's message, everybody, is if you want something bad enough, go get it. Ask for it. Ask for help. You're not asking people to borrow sugar or pick you up at 3 a.m. or come help you with a flat tire. You're just asking people to help elevate you to where you want to go. Just like I asked the receptionist at Pulte Homes. All I want to do is just meet one of the 4 sales managers. Can I just wait here? And if somebody walks by, I'd love to say hi to them. That's all we're doing. We're asking. You'll always have a no if you don't ask. My number one reason for doing these video podcasts is to help you bring out the best version of yourself. Just remember something. If somebody you know can do it, you can do it. Nobody's better than the next person. It's just that person made a decision. It's like in real estate. Some people are super, super successful and others aren't. Why is that? Because that person that is successful made a decision to be really good. When I got in real estate, I didn't want to be good. I wanted to be great. And still to this day, I want to be great. Every day you should want to be the best you can possibly be. You know who benefits besides you? Your significant other, your kids, your coworkers, your employees, your employer. Everybody around you is going to benefit because you made a decision to want to be good. So I want to leave you today. For one, subscribe to this podcast. Please subscribe and share it with anybody you think that could use a little bit of motivation. But I want to leave you with today, find something you want badly. Write it down after you're done listening to this, watching this. Find something you want badly, write it down, and then start taking the steps to go get it. If you have the drive, desire, determination, and the discipline and the decision that you want this, I want you to go get it. And I'd love to get an email and you telling me what that is that you want. And then tell me your progress. van@vandeeb.com. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to this. Stay with me. We're going to have a fun ride of getting you everything that you want out of this precious life that we live. Thank you for tuning into the Van Deeb podcast, and I can't wait to see you next time.